So hello friends, welcome back, and it is the fourth lecture. So in the last lecture we saw the first method to solve a dynamic programming problem, which is the top-down approach. In this video we are going to see the second method to solve the dynamic programming problem, which is the bottom-up approach. As the word itself says, and in the last lecture I showed you what actually means a bottom-up. We start from the base case to find the answer for the n, like the nth number or the nth problem which we have. So as you know that in the Fibonacci our base cases are for 0 and 1, and I showed you in the lecture number 1, I should say 2, that what are the base cases and how we figure out the base case. So in this Fibonacci we knew that our base case is 0 and 1, and the answer for 0 is 0 and the answer for 1 is 1. Now in this actually we will find out the answer from the base case, starting from the base case. So to find the answer for 2, now we will move from low values to the higher value to the final answer. So yeah, keep this in mind. For 2 you should need the answer from the last two Fibonacci numbers, which are 0 and 1. So for 2 you will need these two values. You will add those. What you will get? You will get 0 plus 1, which is 1. Cool. Now for 3 you need to find out the answer for the last two Fibonacci numbers, which are 1 and 2. And for 1 and 2 answer is 1 and 1. So summation of those is 2. Now for our next Fibonacci number, which is 4, I will take 2 and 3, which is the last two numbers. So it will be 2 and 1. So 2 and 1 addition is 3. Cool. Now I have my 5. For 5 I will take from 4 and 3, and for 3 answer is 2, for 4 answer is 3. Summation is 5. So it is like, it's a very basic example just to show you that in bottom-up approach, or you can say in the iterative approach, you first of all you mark the answer for the base cases. You will hard code the answer for the base cases. Then starting from the least value you will loop through the whole up to n, and you will find out for every value of I, such that when the I is found out, then for the next I will save these values before, and I will use those values to find the answer for the next ones, as we did in this case. But make sure that you should fill the value of base cases first. So understand what we did. Firstly, we filled the value of base case. The first thing, we fill the value of base case. I did the same thing, like making an array for the memory part to store the values, to map my image with my answer, to map my, for the nth number, my answer. I used an array. I will represent it by dp, and I will give my size as 1e5, like in general. And so I did this same thing which I did in the last video, but here firstly I filled the base case. Now in iterative version, base case you have to fill by yourself. In the recursive function, as you know that the base cases were like automatically returned when it was returning to a, like it was reaching to a base case. Now the next thing in this would be to loop through the values starting from the minimum possible value. In this case it is 2, up till like the value for which you need the answer, it is n. So I will loop through from 2 to n. Now what I will do, for any, like from I equal to 2 to I less than equal to n and I plus plus. Now for any I, which means at any index, its answer would be what? From the last two ones, which is dp of I minus 1 plus dp of I minus 2. It is nothing, it is same. In the last video I showed you for f of n minus 1 and f of n minus 2. Now as we knew that f will have a function called to the lower values, but here actually when I am on dp of something, suppose if I am on dp of 3, so I actually know I have the answer for dp of 2 and dp of 1. Why? Because I am arriving at 3 after iterating on 1 and 2. So I always know that smaller values will always be computed before reaching to the larger value. So I will use those smaller values to find the answer for the larger value. So it is the like very basic thing which I showed you, and you finally know that your answer would be stored at what? dp of 5. In this case your answer would be stored at dp of n, and it's all. So the proper code, like it's here, as you can see, that firstly I made my array to store the dp values. Then I had my base cases, because without them, if I will not update them, then I will have my null answer, like I will have my any answer, sorry. Then I will iterate from 2 to n, because actually I need n, but for n I also need to have the smaller values. So I will move from smaller to the large values, like this. So dp of I will be nothing but dp of I minus 1 and I minus 2. And as you can see, for 2 the indexes would be 1 and 0, which are the minimum indexes. Thus, as I showed in the first lecture, like lecture 1, that how to find out what's the base case, and thus we put values from the base case and start from there. Then at last our answer will be at dp of n, because it is storing the final answer for the nth Fibonacci number. Now the main part, what is the space complexity and time complexity? So as we can see that I used an external dp array, so its space would be O of n, and same is for time complexity, because I am iterating one for loop. In general, one for loop is O of n. Now you might say that Rn, okay, so you reduced from exponential to linear. In recursion I had 2 raised to the power n. Now in here I have O of n, but you might say, by any means can I reduce its space as well? So I might think, okay, now you are saying to reduce the space, right? So if I clearly see that for any part, like for 3, I am only having the values from last 2 part. Very fine. For any part I am having the values from the last 2 part, which means that the previous values stored are of no use to me. So whensoever I need to find out this, what I will do, I will not store in my whole array. I will have 2 variables a and b. I will have this in them as a base case, like 0 and 1. Then to find out my c, I will do a plus b, it will become 1. Then I will shift all these, which means my new a will become b, my new b will become c, and my c will shift. So now my c will be calculated from a and b, which are actually 1 and 1, so it will be 2. Thus by using only 3 variables, I would be able to find the answer for the nth Fibonacci number. Thus I can reduce my space from O of n to O of 1, because now I am not using my array. So I will quickly edit its code and explain to you guys. Now as you can see on the screen that my space is reduced to O of 1 rather than O of n, and my time is still O of n, because yeah, I am using a one for loop. Now what you will see here, that okay, as I said that I have my a as 0 and b as 1. Now to find out the value for c, what will happen, that for c, firstly, like let's dry run for a very small example. Let's dry run for up till 3, which means that I had this, so it is 0, it is 1, so it is for 2 and it is for 3. Let's dry run up till 3. For 3, as you can see that for 2, first of all, what will happen are, it is a, it is b, so c would be nothing but a plus b, which is 1 and 0, so it will be 1. My a will be updated to my b, so my a will become 1, my b will become 1. Now my loop will go to I equal to 3. Now my I equal to 3, so my c will be updated, so c will become nothing but a plus b, which is 1 and 1, so it will become 2. Now my A will again become 1 and my B will again become 2. Sorry, yeah. Now as you can see that the loop is complete, which means 2 iterations are complete for I equal to 2 and I equal to 3. Now it will run out of, like, it will become out of this loop, and now as I can clearly see that my answer will be stored in C, which is this 2. So I will just printed this C, which is the nth Fibonacci number. Although it is a pretty, I am again saying it is a pretty basic example. In the next upcoming lectures we will see very beautiful actual DP questions. Like, frankly saying, I don't like these questions, but it's very basic, and like for beginners it's quite friendly to understand with DP. But in the upcoming lectures we will do very beautiful questions where actually you will think, यार मजा आ गया, like ये वाली feeling आएगी. So yeah, it's all for this video, and I hope that you guys have liked it. If yes, then do hit the like button, and see you guys in the next video. Until then, be happy and keep coding. Bye.